Saurabh. And let's welcome there how I found my name. It really gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this beautiful congregation. We have these writers, we have eminent panelists, we have mindset coach Kamalneet Singh. He is not only just a mindset coach, he is actually a person with passion. He teaches life skills. And it's something that we needed at this time of point. We also have Manoj Arora. He is environmentalist and successful author of many books. We have a storyteller too in between, and she's Indra Mukherjee. And of course, our smart and handsome and good-looking writers, which is Poonam Rajiv John, and Saurabh Mehra. Welcome all. My name is Archana, and I'm going to be the host for the evening. Let's see what this evening unfolds together. Let's see how it goes. With all love, prayers, and gratitude, I thank Almighty and everyone to be a part of this. Now I request Reverend Mohit Hitter to lead us with a little prayer.
Thank you, Archana. And we've been taught to begin every good work with prayer. And so this today is not just because of a tradition, but it is because of something good that is being started. And I think I'm personally vested in this, Poonam being my niece. The prayer that comes today will not just be from here or here, but it'll also be from here. And so this is for you, Poonam, and every one of you. Shall we just bow our heads, close our eyes, and look to the Lord in prayer? Father in heaven, we bless your name today. Praise you for the very gift of life that you have given to all of us. Especially in this time of pandemic, oh Master, we thank you and we praise you because we are alive, we are breathing, and we can rejoice in the gift of life, first and foremost. We also want to thank you because within the gift of life, there are faculties that you have given to us. And Lord, we thank you that each one of us are able to use our faculties, our talents, the very being that we are created in, to your glory and especially for the good of people around us. Lord, those who have been given the gift of oration, those who have been given the gift of narration, those who have been given the gift of reaching out in their own way, storytelling, teaching, life skills, being magnanimous as your creation, rising above the pettiness around us. And to that end, we want to thank you that today we are able to add to that grain of creation by another storyteller in our midst. We want to thank you for Poonam, O Lord. We want to thank you because as you blessed her with wisdom, stature, you also blessed her with the favor from you and from people. You invested in her your wisdom and your goodness. You invested in her the gift to write and the gift to tell, the gift to share, which we believe would be a blessing to many people. Today, O Lord, as part of the search, as part of the quest of all of us, looking for who we are, asking ourselves the very basic question of why we are, we thank you that you have given to Poonam this quest, and in addition to that, you have made her go a step forward. Lord, at this juncture today, within this group, as she now shares with us what she has revealed, what has been revealed to us, and what she reveals to us through this book, we pray that you would bless this sister. Bless, O Lord, our presence with each other. Bless, O Lord, your presence with each us. Bless, O Lord, every device, every connection, and every connectivity, so that we are one in you, together to rise up and to fulfill your purposes and your higher purposes in this land. For we ask this in the name of our Lord and our Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Mohit. That was so nice and kind of you. And this prayer is for one and all. It's not only for and Saurav who are the writers, but all of us who are attending and listening it. Now, let's get back to the people of this day, our authors, Poonam and Saurav. And we all, as we all know, that they actually, their background, their profession is in information technology. However, they took this step of moving forward and publishing a book on children's fantasy world, How I Found My Name. So here we are with little curious details and some questions that we would like to ask them as writers and authors. Apart from that, if any one of you have some question, we'll hold on to them and we'll definitely ask. But my first question would go to Poonam. What actually inspired you to come up with this idea of writing, Poonam? This is a fantasy story, and especially for children. You belonging to an IT background, how could you connect these two together?
So I think the inspiration to create stories came from my kids. So they do have a lot of books, right? Some of the stories were also so familiar and common. So and not having enough time to read to them every night, when I had to go back and tell a story, I started to spin them on my own, just say random stories, creating them on the go. But then I realized that if I don't jot them down or create a book out of them, they would be lost forever. I didn't want to do that. I really wanted them to be there forever, if not for my kids, later for others, something that everyone could go back to and hold on to and enjoy in the long run. So that's how this came to be.
Absolutely. My second question is for Saurav now. When did you start writing these children's books, Saurav? And what actually really got you started with all this?
Hi. Well, there's a story behind that story. What got me started onto writing, or what got me into imagining things, goes way beyond when I was a child. And then we used to sleep with our grandfather, and every night I used to request him to narrate a story. But very soon, the stock of his stories like kind of exhausted. And after that, the repeats also did not interest me much. So then we used to play a game wherein we used to start on a story and in turn keep adding to it. And our intention was to make the plot so complex so that the other one will not be able to build on it. So I and my grandfather used to go to sleep talking about these stories and making these complex plot. I think that got me initially started with thinking and imagining and coming up with different ideas. And because those stories definitely did not have an end, because I used to go to sleep before they used to end. But from there, I guess that got me started into imagining things and thinking of different areas where, and as a child, because when you develop that thing I thought build up, and as we grew up, I started writing a bit, and then I used to write a little bit for my son's school and stuff. So some plays and thought. So I think that is where it all began.
Awesome. That's awesome. And now I have this very, something which really made me think, how did both of you as came together and collaborated? And this question goes to both, actually.
Saurabh wants to go first. Saurabh, do you want to go first on that one?
Okay. Well, I and Poonam have been working together for like over a decade now, almost 15 odd years. And we were aware about the likes and passions of each other. And once I think on a coffee, we were discussing some of the stories we had written. So I shared mine and she shared some of the things she had written for her son. And that, I think, there is when we conceived the idea that why don't we actually pull in together and merge those two and then come out with a book. So I think that is where it started. I'll let Poonam continue on that.
Right. Yeah, no, Saurabh. So you're right. And it was a coffee break during office hours, if I may add, where we had this original idea that, maybe we should collect everything together so that, it goes out as a beautiful set, with both our contributions. And that's where we started. Incidentally, it also started because we were exchanging this, as all parents, we were exchanging, say, notes on our kids. My son Ruhan, and Saurabh's son is also Ruhan, and we were speaking about children, and we were speaking about how we engage them into stories. And then Saurabh starts off with, yeah, I am writing stories, and I was like, yeah, so am I. And that's where we started, and then we said, yeah, so let's maybe do something bigger and take it to the next step and get a book out of it.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Poonam, I have this question for you that, how did your children really influence you in writing? And what were their reaction when once this book was in and around?
So their initial, say, reactions to my story writing were, they always had feedback on the characters. This character looks very naughty. This character sounds like me. This character does not sound like anyone we know. And then they had feedback about the endings. This end is not good. Can you change this? Could you make it better? Um, some of the stories, when I would speak out to them, I would just, say, leave it on a cliffhanger, which drove them pretty mad. And they were like, no, you have to finish it tonight. And I'm like, no, you hold on to it. So yes, I mean, I got a lot of inputs from them, specifically since the book is meant for kids, right? So their ideas, their feelings about the characters influence the stories. And when they saw the book, I mean, even when the book was being edited, they had a lot of feedback, on the illustrations. This looks pretty. This one has a funny face. Can you get it changed? And so, yeah, I mean, they have been more like my creative input in-house. So yes, and they were happy when they saw it. They were like, it's always good to see something that you have thought about as in a tangible form. So yeah, they've been very happy with the outcome.
Wow. So you had those in-house,
Critics.
people who would quality control you in a lot of ways, who would help
Yes.
you to become a better person.
Right.
Amazing. Uh, yes, as Manoj very says, a lot of things can happen during the coffee. And
Yeah.
yes, indeed, absolutely right. My next question would be to Saurabh. I was just intrigued by the fact that the kind of names that you have picked up in your book, How I Got My Name, they're very different. I too also have a child, and whenever I see him, reading some books, they're very similar names. You would always hear Jack, Bill, Raju, and these are the kinds of names that you would often hear. But the names that you have picked up, especially the names about the animals and other things, how did you actually come up with this?
The names I have picked up, actually, if you look at the combined book, the names, you would find two different types of names. One of them actually relate to the name of the animals. Whereas in other cases, we've tried to pick up names to where the stories have actually originated from. So you would have Ullu, but spelled differently. So, but just to portray an owl, whereas on the other side, you would have Portia and others, which are actually flowers at Ecuador. So we've tried to put in names. But the whole idea about this book was to get people to start imagining, to have the kids to think of it, because the whole concept of the book herein was that a name is something which is very personal to all of us, but that probably in most cases not something which we keep ourselves. So,
Absolutely. Very
so the
interesting.
idea was to, yes, just to try to weave in a story, because if you go on the background of these names, it will be very technical for the kids. So for them to have that interest in them, so we've tried to then go back, weave in a story, something which is interesting, which they'll understand. It's simple, so that gets their imagination, because there's so many other things but we can think of. Why an
Absolutely.
elephant is called an elephant for that.
Absolutely. It's fantastic, and you should be applauded for such fascinating names, different names, in fact. Now, this question is for both of you as writers. I would say that you've written this book now. Yeah, I do understand that you love children, you love books. and you have that kind of a capacity to write also. Now, where do you go from here now? What do you see as future for yourself and for people like us who would love to read?
I'll let Poonam start.
Okay, Poonam.
Okay, so I mean, in short, there is a lot more where that came from. And personally, I see a lot more books coming in. There is a world of imagination out there. There is a lot that kids would like to know about, kids would like to imagine. There is a lot more that we can do to, spark that creativity, that imagination in kids. So yes, we will be working on more to come. When and where and how many is a question that still remains. But yes, there's much more action going to be coming in. Saurabh, you want to add in?
Thanks. No, yeah, I think I'll just support it. We've just got started. So it's we're just warming up. So as we proceed, as we go ahead, I think we'll learn from the feedback which we receive on this one. We are looking forward for people to read it, be serious critics about the book, tell us where to improve, what their kids would like better. As parents, what you would like to incorporate in these books so that you feel that your children take away something when every time they read a story and they don't realize that they have actually benefited, because for them entertainment value is higher. But for you, if you think that they take back something after being entertained through a book, is something which we will want to then build on, work together. And yes, there are many more from where this came from.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, this last question is for Saurabh. I know I'm taking a little bit long, but it's been a very curious journey. It's very interesting and very intriguing itself. Uh, Saurabh, what is it that one thing that you would like to tell the children, the children that who read your book, who plan to read your book? Any message for them?
For the children who read my book, I would say, good. There's a secret to the reading of this book or any other book for that. At this age, you are all into reading storybooks. Read lots of storybooks. However, once you have read the story, don't just cast the book aside. Try to make that story your own. Try then to think about what can you change in that story, character, situation, ending, scene, and make the story your own. This would get you into thinking and creating your own stories. For example, what if the blue whale did not stop whaling at all? So how large it would have become by now? What would happen? Or change the scene. For example, what if the blue whale was on land? Is that how the dinosaurs came up? So things like that. If you change a small element, you adopt the story. And if you can do that, I think children will be able to benefit from any story for that matter. That is what I would tell them to do.
Fantastic. I just love it. I love the thought of it. Thank you so much, both of you. Now, let's move on to our esteemed panelist who we have invited today to grace this evening. First of all, I would like to introduce Mr. Kamalneet Singh. He is an extraordinary man. He's a mindset coach. He's a life skill educator. He's a voracious reader. And he definitely believes that reading books will help you to empower yourself and change lives in and around you. I would like Kamalneet Singh to come and speak some words with us and tell us how he would connect himself with this book. And please go ahead, Kamalneet
Thank
Singh.
you. Thank you so much, Arshana, for that lovely introduction. And to begin with, first of all, many, many congratulations, Poonam and Saurabh, for pulling a fantastic book. So we are in a world wherein we cannot really meet per se. But if I were to give you, so it's a Wi-Fi pat on the back for pulling such an extraordinary book. The characters, the visuals, the illustrations, they are simply beautiful, and जो message निकल के आ रहा है, I think that's something that that touches the heart. So extremely happy for what you have done. Now we're talking about reading. I'll share. I have the privilege to work with kids, and I spend a lot of time with them, and I've spent in fact time with thousands of them. And there's one thing that has really stood for me, and I'll share an incident. I was speaking to this child, 13-year-old, and he was sharing something from what happened in a marriage. He found a gold earring that had fallen on the ground, and the student came from a background wherein the family was dealing with financial challenges and घर के कुछ financial challenges थे. And he said he found it, and I said, "What did you do?" He said, "I had one thought that what if I sell? I'll be able to get some money." And then he laughingly said, I was thinking he shared PlayStation bhi mil jayega and all of that. And I said, then what did you eventually do with that? He said, I went to the DJ, and because the DJ has the mic and he can probably make an announcement about if something has been found. He gave it back, and I said, but tell me what, from the point wherein you thought if I sell and I'll be able to get a PlayStation to the point wherein you moved to the DJ and gave it back, what transpired in between? And so he narrated the whole thing. And there's one thing that he shared. He said, I read a story, and it was about values, and the story concluded in such a way that your acts not only reflect off you, they reflect on your parents as well. He said, when I thought कि अगर मेरे ये करने से, the kind of image my parents will have and the kind of damage and वो कहते हैं ना कि image का दाग लग जाएगा कि कैसे बच्चे हैं. When I thought of it, I dropped the idea. And he said, अगर मेरे लिए सिर्फ अपने लिए होता, I would have probably taken it away. So we had a laugh over it. But if you look at the complexity and the importance of the message, stories have such impact that they stay with you for years and years and years together. And they kind of the messages that you draw from them, and they kind of drive you. There are probably thousands of benefits, but one thing that I really want to share with the audience and the parents out there is, psychologists, neurologists, pediatricians across the globe, they have this saying that 75% of a child's overall development, imagination, belief systems, values, thought processes, they are developed by the age they turn about 13 or 14. So 13 से 14 साल के अंदर 75% of all of that, the brain faculties are pretty much done. How they look at the world, how they look at people, and I think this is the time the stories that have gone in prior to that age, they also become, I call it something as, I call stories as the IGS. Powerful stories, they work as an internal guidance system for you. So whenever you're about to go off track, some story that you have read, some story that you have come across, that serves you as an internal guidance system that puts you back on the right track again. So that's how pretty powerful, and the kind of story. And these are no ordinary stories. So Poonam and Saurabh, these are no ordinary stories, and I'm sure that they will have an impact on the kids, and not only them. It changes the whole environment back home. So yeah, that's so well done once again, and I really hope the book reaches masses and leaves a massive impact on the audience. Thank you. Over to you, Archana.
Awesome, Kamalneet. I completely agree with you. You very well defined things. As a parent, I can definitely vouch for it. And even as a person who comes from psychology background, I agree each and every word you said. Very beautifully said. And I thank you for your time as a panelist, as a person who can enlighten us on such issues. Yes, stories play a very important part. We are a part of stories of our parents, and we are going to be a part of our children's stories as well in times to come. So thank you so much for your time today. Let me introduce the next panelist, a person with us. He's Manoj Arora, and he would like to be known as an author and an environmentalist. Apart from that, he does come with a good background. He has been a gold medalist in engineering from AMU, Aligarh Muslim University, and his career has been a long span of 2 decades. He's been a part of Fortune 500 organizations. He's worked with IBM, L&T, and TCS. But more than that, what I would like to call him is not only he writes books on children, parenting, but he has also written books which talks about dreams, which talk about how money, happiness, and other things make difference in our lives. He's a parent himself. He's a parent to two beautiful daughters. And I welcome him on board today to enlighten us, to tell us how did he raise his children? How did he develop this idea of dreaming in children? And as an author also, from one author to another author, how would he connect his this book and his words? Please, we welcome you, Manoj.
Thank you, Archana, for such a warm welcome. So I would start actually with story when we were in US actually. It was around 12, 13 years back. And my children were that time, the younger one was like 4 years or 5 years. And it relates to the audience of this particular book. And we were in a very small town there called as Bentonville, which is in Arkansas State in US. It's not like New York or a big town. I mean, it's a very small town, very low population, and you don't really know what you're going to do on a weekend there. Okay, so what's the best thing you can do for children on a weekend when there's nothing else to do in a small town? Is take them to a public library. So that's what we used to do. We used to go to Bentonville Public Library, and what my kids of that age, what they used to do, used to just pick up 20 books every week, bring them home, and the entire week, I mean, the school load in US is not that much, unlike India. So they would just, ferociously go through all those 20 books and excited for the next week, getting the next set of 20 books and so on. So what happened with, and this entire thing, we were there for around 2 years, this cycle repeated for 2 years. So what happened with, there's certain habits which I see them in today. I mean, when they are, I mean, one of them is going to college today, one of them is in 12th standard. So what I see is there are two distinct characteristics I see in them because of the stories they read in their times when they were 4 year, 5 or 6 year olds. One of them is they learned how to dream. Okay, and I say that, and that's so important in life. We read a lot of stories, which, and I remember reading a lot of stories in my childhood, which used to talk about good values and honesty, and a lot of principles which are all required definitely and definitely needed in today's world. But none of those storybooks talked about how to dream, how to think out of the box, how to just believe in things which normally people don't believe. That's one thing. And today, I mean, they are just, going for careers which are absolutely, I mean, I would not have dreamt of going for such careers the way they are trying to do. And I mean, the way they dream today, one of them wants to be probably the best marketing professional in the country. The other one wants to study in US from a Nobel laureate. These are the kind of dreams they have. And that's all developed when they were very young, and they read stories with books like what Saurabh and Poonam have written. And that was one, dreaming big. And second thing, which I realized was they ask a lot of questions. And sometimes तो यार हमें लगता है कि यार ये बहुत बहस करते हैं बच्चे, we feel like that, too much of it. But then we realize we only encourage them to ask questions. And that's a real great characteristic because of which they explore certain uncharted territories, which they've never. They ask questions on everything and anything to the extent that we don't get the answer and we have to do a Google search to really find out why is this, instead of getting annoyed about it. So these are the two main characteristics I want to point out. And I want to link it to this book because when I read this book, I thought it's just like one of the books which I have read in my younger days. And I'm going to learn about, children will learn about, some good values. And I mean, of course, it has all those traits. But then these two characteristics came out so starkingly in this particular book that I had to, put it down on paper and say, okay, I'm going to talk about these two things when I'm invited here. And that's why I'm talking about these two things. And I want to relate these two characteristics of dreaming big and asking questions, which I feel is the best mode of learning, to the two authors that we have today. And I personally know both of them, both Saurabh and Poonam. I've worked with them. I have been to their homes. I have interacted with them a lot over the last 10, 15 years. So I know one of them is a big dreamer, and whosoever it is would be smiling by now. And one of them is really goes into the depth of everything, and he asks a lot of questions. He wants to go deeper into it, and who's been Google searching all this while for this particular book. So congratulations really, Saurabh, for really going so deep. And as it said, if you can make things this simple, then you have done a lot of hard work behind it. There's a lot of hard work that goes on to make something very simple. So Saurabh, you've done it so well in this particular book. I'm not only talking about the graphics and pictures and I mean, the kind of research he has done to really bring this outcome is really fantastic. And Poonam, really congratulations to you as well. I mean, after reading this book, I really wanted my children also, I mean, at this age also to read this book, but then of course they said, no, 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 I'm busy in my 12th class. Another one was busy in his college mood. But really, I wish there are more such books which children at younger age can read. And this, I mean, that really allows them to dream big and ask a lot of questions and learn more and be more wise. There's one last thing which I want to say, Archana, before I hand it over back to you. There's one beautiful thing that books, especially for children, does. For us, when we read books, we connect with the author of the book, right? Because its mindset is, somewhere in getting reflected in the book. But when children read books, I mean, they don't read. Normally, their parents, narrate the book to the children. Children don't bother about the author. Actually, if you ask me, so sorry, sorry, I mean, don't worry about that. But they connect. I mean, they feel that the person who's narrating the book to them is everything, is the author, is everything in the book, right? So it establishes a very strong bond between the narrator and the child, and that's something which is lifelong bond, that's going to last for a very, very long time. So if you're a parent here, and if you want to read great books which can enable your children to dream and ask a lot of questions and get wiser, and you want to establish great bonds with your children, there's no better book than this, I would say. So congratulations one again for a fantastic effort and a fantastic outcome, and I really loved it. And actually, I was very disappointed in the end. There's only 5 stories. Oh, I want more. I mean, I was just looking for more. So anyway, but next time, as Saurav and Poonam said, so this is just the first attempt. So we're going to have many more from them. So thank you, Archana.
Thank you very much, Manoj. Your warm and kind words have been really, I'm sure they will uplift our authors and they will get them geared for another book and get into writing mode as soon as possible. And I completely agree with the fact that this storybook does one trick. It nurtures the inclination of every child to be curious as such. And they have done it well. Undoubtedly, they have done it well. And you have very beautifully in your words described it. And they come from your heart. Your expression
Yes,
say it out.
it does. Yeah.
So much. Thank you so much for your time. You've been so
Thank
nice
you.
and kind with all of us. Now, let me introduce our last panelist. She is one of her own kinds. She is Indira Mukherjee. She's our next guest and an esteemed storyteller. For last 30 years, she has been into this profession. She's not only just a storyteller, she's also writes her own stories. She actually, her core competency is into folklore and Indian literature. And she enjoys it. Wherever she goes, she leaves her mark. People know her not only in India but outside India. She has done her job very well, and everybody knows her. In fact, she has also honored this book with her 4 words. And I've read it myself, and I felt so nice and so kind of somebody who belongs to this profession of telling stories, sharing stories with masses, write such words. I uh, I would like her to come on board and do her magic. That's what I want her to do. We welcome you, Indra Mukherjee. Please take the stage. Indra ji, you are on mute. I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Archana. Can you Am I audible now? Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Loud and
Hello.
clear. Loud and clear.
So, thanks a lot, Archana, and thanks, Poonam, for inviting me. And I loved reading your book, yours and Saurav's. And since I have been telling stories for such a long time, interact with children, I felt very happy, to go through the book. I know how children, they would love it, and those beautiful pictures and what it leaves behind. I wish this book would reach as many children as possible. And if this book could be translated into regional languages, then many more children would be able to go through this beautiful story. I have been telling stories for such a long time, and I feel that stories have this power to be destructive and to be creative, to be nurturing, and at the same time, to be doing some mischief. So we have to ensure that these kinds of stories reach out to our children. These are the stories which, not only the children, the sense of wonder will continue. And so many things, there are so many aspects in this book. Like when I was reading Blue Well, I felt that children, I have worked a lot with children in the, who grew up in home for homeless children often. And sometimes they would not be able to express their deep sorrow, which they would carry forever. And, whenever I read books, I look at it from different perspectives. A child who is being nurtured in a very caring family, a child who has not been nurtured, but who got his or her own values from the environment, from the people he or she would meet in her life or his life. So many aspects are there, in this. So sometimes what happens, books are written only for children who have parents, who have grandparents, who are very nurturing, caring people all around them. And then children who did not have that advantage, they feel a bit kind of alienated. That this is the story, it's not about me. They can't relate to that character. And sometimes what happens, like little girls, when they listen to the story of a beautiful queen or fairy or princess who is always fair and beautiful. So these little girls, they feel very left out. So if you just describe the princess as beautiful, so everybody can interpret beauty in his or her own way. That particular person doesn't have to be constantly, only that image, that fair and beautiful. So when I would tell story and I would say there is a story of a child, of a girl who is very dark and beautiful. I can't tell you the expression of joy on the faces of little girls who are very dark. And they would just listen to me, Kali thi or Sundar thi, they would ask me. So I felt, because in every story they would find that only beauty is is defined in a particular manner. So that is why, all these stories, like here, actually there are so many things to tell. We have very little time. I will just, I feel that this book is doing justice. This book, the children can relate to these characters. As we have said, as Manoj has said, rightly, children, they are not bothered about who has written the story. Children, they relate to the characters. A particular character resonates with a child and how that child responds to the character. So I feel I'm very happy, Poonam and Saurav, for writing these beautiful stories. And I just hope every year you will publish many more stories like this. And we would love to take these stories to the children. Sometimes you can make audiobooks, also video. Sometimes you can make audiobooks for children who do not have vision, blind children. And then there are children, You can make also this book can be written perhaps in braille, and then audio books. So many things can be done. Whenever I find a beautiful story, I feel this story must reach out to all the children of this world. And I feel that in different ways, one can take these stories to the, and parents and teachers, they should read out these stories to the very small children. Like, this blue whale, it's such a cute story and such a beautiful story. Like blue whale, you all, most of you must have read this. Poonam writes, there was once a teeny tiny fish called Blue that lived in the big, big ocean, many, many plains and mountains away from the magical jungle. This magical jungle Poonam has talked about in her first story, this magical jungle where the rainbow is always present. Just imagine such a beautiful imagination, Poonam. A jungle where the rainbow is consistent with its presence. So this blue whale, tiny, she would see this tiny fish. She would see big fish swimming around her and feel very scared. She would hide from them and wait for them to vanish. The big fish made her feel very small. And every time she felt small, she would start wailing, long and loud cries for help. Ooh, she would wail. She would keep on wailing. All the other fish in the ocean heard her wail and came to speak to her. You're so beautiful. You're so blue, they would tell her. You are bluer than the ocean. One day you will grow into a fine fish. But no matter what anyone said, Blue would wail even louder, day after day, night after night. She would wail louder and louder, the ocean spreading her voice over everything else. The birds heard her crying and wondered what happened. Now I think you should read the book, read the story to find out why was she crying and what was happening when she was crying. That is the beauty of the story. It's such a, this kind of story when narrated to a child, the child would know that if I share my sorrow, if I share my sadness, if I share my story with somebody else, I would grow stronger. Poonam, I feel this story will do that to a child who is really feeling very, sad and small. Because, just imagine a little one who starts walking or who is looking all around, at all these grown-ups. And it must be feeling so small and so afraid. And when caring people are all around, they give strength to this little one. So that's how I feel that this story is going to do wonder, Poonam. So lots of my best wishes to both of you. And Saurabh, one particular story, this was so beautiful. That's about this toad, about this 1,000-year-old wise frog giving strength to this bird who is constantly complaining. And this toad is giving her this advice that, you can come out of your sorrow. You have the choice to come out of your sorrow on your own. Such a beautiful message, I feel very happy to read Poonam and Saurabh. Thank you for your stories. And we will wait for many more books from both of you. Many more books. Thank you so much. I have not much time, so I will end here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Indiraji. You actually left us wanting us for more, actually. The way you described this story, it was absolutely magical and fantastic. Somebody writing and somebody reading, it creates that kind of unity and coherence and kind of flow. You created that flow, actually. It feels like that I should also read again and again and again. And you very beautifully described the fact that stories build up an emotional and psychological connect. Things which are very difficult to explain in simple and plain language to children can be done with this powerful theme of story writing and storytelling. And you've done it fantastic job. Thank you so much for being the panelist here, for putting in your words. Your words are strong, your words are powerful, and they really help our authors to write more. They encourage them to do more, and I would also encourage them to write more. This is fantastic. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for making this evening so beautiful and magical for us. Now let's move on to the exact job that we have to do, which is the book Unveiling. I would request the parents, as we all know that parents take exceptional joy and pride for everything their children do. You see, we feel so proud of our children when they achieve something. And as parents, I would like to welcome Mr. and Mrs. P.K. Messi and Mr. and Mrs. Mehra to unveil the book, How I Found My Name. Please put them on the spotlight so that they can unveil the book. I welcome the proud parents.
So lovely.
We should clap.
Yes, I completely agree. This is a time for applause.
Yes.
Wow.
Very
Beautiful.
nice. Beautiful.
Yes, I think we're just doing it. We're just putting them on spotlight.
They are on spotlight.
Perfect.
Are they not?
Perfect.
Love.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. आप दोनों माँ बाप का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आपने अपने बच्चों को अपनी ब्लेसिंग्स दी और इस आज बुक को अनवेल किया. It's such a warm feeling. I don't think words can suffice here, but आप ऐसे ही अपने आशीर्वाद देते रहें और ऐसे ही ब्लेसिंग्स देते रहें अपने बच्चों को और सबको. I want some reactions, reactions from some more children. There are a lot of children who have read this book, and we would like to share that feedback. The feedback really helps us to fuel our authors, our writers to do a better job each and every time they write a story. So I would request that we share a few feedbacks about how I found this, how I found my name. So here we are, some readers' reaction.
Archana, we can't hear.
Yes, we can't hear the voice here from the children. Please,
Okay.
Saurabh, share the voice also.
Trying to.
No, still can't. Maybe you start resharing it,
Okay.
and then there we.
Yeah, but the baby is looking so cute holding the book.
Yeah, so happy.
Works now?
No. We have Lata guiding us, telling us that please share the multimedia. Share it through multimedia.
Saurabh, you might want to go back.
Yes.
To share
Reshare.
Yeah,
again.
unshare and then maybe share as
Stop the share first.
multimedia.
Stop the share, and then maybe we can do it again.
Okay.
That's the fun part. That's the fun part, that we do have technical glitch. This shows that we are humans.
Very true.
The best part.
You know, when something like this happens, and generally, I've had cases wherein I would want to speak on the mic and then it doesn't work. I laugh out. My wife is around by any chance attending one of the sessions. I look at her and I tell her that this technology is like you, doesn't let me speak too much. So sometimes technology behaves like a spouse, doesn't let you do too much.
No, I don't know.
It's okay.
Can you hear it now?
Not yet. We haven't played it. If you play it, then maybe. Poonam, maybe if you can share.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Okay.
Audible now?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay.
I think the
I'll
voice
stop
is
sharing
left
Poonam.
to our
Maybe you can try,
imagination.
yeah.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. I'll see if I can share it.
I'm enjoying the messages in the chat, and they are so heartwarming to see that we are encouraging our friends and family to write more. And it's so good to read these messages. They keep on popping up. These are source of encouragement. These are little reasons why we do what we do every day. There's I was as I was sharing, there's a profession that we need to follow for everyday bread, but there's a passion which needs to be taken care of to help our other social psychological needs of life. We uplift not only ourselves, but we uplift the entire society with such things. And it's a good job done by our writers.
Yeah, I fully support you, Archana. In fact,
Yes.
all parents out there, with kids, this is one book, and especially that, under 11, under 12, parents with all the kids of that age, I think you should definitely get your hands on this book, and not only let your child read, but read alongside
Yes.
and see how I love what Manoj was mentioning, that let the seed of dreaming and imagining begin early, and,
Yes.
and this is going to really make a difference. And some books, they probably you read using your head or mind, but they enter your heart. So this is one book that will do the job for you.
I love my book.
Now we hear this.
And I love also fairies.
Can you show fairies?
Fairies.
Yes.
Fairies. I love reading the book How I Found My Name, especially the part where Beethoven could not pronounce words correctly. I also like the story of Blue Whale and how she wailed to grow more.
How I found my name. Just like the name of the book, the stories are unique and interesting. Once I started reading the book, I could not stop and finished all stories in one go. Though I loved all the stories, but one of my favorite story is The Blue Whale. I wish these stories could reach to other kids and they enjoy the way I did.
Fifth story, The Humble Bee. I enjoyed Dumbledore because he helped Beethoven to reach the competition. The characters and names in all 5 stories are humorous, and letters between them are interesting. I would recommend this funny book to any kid with sense of humor.
I liked all of the stories. I think they were very engaging, especially the first one, which taught me about metamorphosis. Now I know so many things just by reading this book. My personal favorite was story number 5, The Humblebee.
I like the book because it's very colorful and creative. My my personal favorite story is the blue whale, how she winds and gets bigger and bigger. And my personal favorite character is Ulu. He is clever and very smart and solves any problem that he faces.
I like the part about how I got my name when the bee said, Booray!
So cute and so honest. So honest. Very nice. Amazing. It's good to see such warm feedback right from the kind of children that we're looking at, and everybody, this as it fuels your imagination. Now I would like to invite Poonam and Saurabh to share their feelings and some conclusion here from their side. I would like to listen to the authors now.
Saurabh, would you want to go first?
Saurabh, you're on mute. Saurabh, you're on mute.
Saurabh, you're on mute.
Okay. So thanks a lot, Archana. Thank you for the way you have actually driven this, navigated through this evening. I think you've done a very good job. You helped all of us and the panelists to come out with our thoughts and ideas in a manner probably which we were able to portray. So thanks a lot for all that. To conclude, I would say that I thank everybody who's helped actually read the book, who's given feedback. I would like to thank everybody who's encouraged us to write this, given us time. Parents, families, friends, and son for sure. So it has all come up so that we are able to make this happen. Now that we have already got on our way, is probably we would now like to actually have everybody's feedback, fine tune it for the larger masses. And as Indra ma'am had just said, that we would now like to try to take it so that it's more useful, helpful for the other people, other children who would like to actually relate to these stories better. So thanks everybody for all your support all through the times, all through the years. And thanks Poonam for actually helping make it happen. Without your push, probably this would not have seen the light of the day. Thank you. So Poonam, I'll
Thank you, Saurabh. I think I'll first start by thanking you itself, because I think it's easy to do it. It's easy to maybe think of something alone, but then, having someone else join in and make a dream into a tangible asset, into an actual book is something that you really helped me with. So thank you so much to you. Thanks to my parents who always encouraged me to read more, to spend time on books, and to keep talking, because I think talking is a major part of where my books actually go to. So thank you for that. I want to thank my kids, of course, because they are the ones who actually inspired me to take my reading and also start to weave out some magic, for them and for the others. Thank you for Archana for driving this call. Thank you so much. Thank you to Reverend Mohit for gracing us and starting off the event with prayers. I want to thank Kamalneet and Manoj, both of them, for their presence and their insight into what reading and what dreaming and is all about, and how books can actually have a heavy influence on our lives. I want to thank Indraji most of all, because say writing is the easy part, I believe, but then how it will go ahead and impact the minds of readers, will it actually leave a lasting impact, is something that I learned from Indira ji. She was very helpful, she read the book, she gave us very clear feedback, specifically around areas where things have to have a universal appeal for children across the board, right? I mean, a book that you write, you wouldn't want any child to feel, say, left out, because the feeling of being left out is something that a child can carry for a very long time. And we really wanted our book to be of a touch that can go and influence every heart. Actually, we wanted that kind of a magic, that kind of, say, wonder to be coming out of the book. So thank you so much, Indira ji, for your help, for your insight, for your guidance, and for honoring this book with your forewords. So thank you everyone who's been gracious enough to join this call and has been here with their presence. Thank you to all the children who are now out there and reading this book and sharing their feedback. Apart from the videos that we just shared, I have got a lot of other feedback as well over, say, WhatsApp, which for sure is going to go into our next book. So thank you, everyone. Thanks again, Archana. Over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. To this, now we come to an end of today's journey. It's been a beautiful evening. As I said, we started off with a beautiful evening and we could conclude it into a beautiful one. Thank you, everyone, for your time, your patience. And with all the ups and downs, we have finally come to end of this beautiful journey. So I thank all of you for your presence. Yes? Poonam?
Sorry. Just say quickly, I think there was someone in the audience who had a question. Could you just quickly check on that if anyone has any?
Yes, please. Anybody who has something to share, please go ahead. Unmute yourself and share it, please.
Hey Poonam, Lata here. I have left messages for you in different forums, different places. Today I did join a little late, but I heard all the amazing feedback that came. I have your book. I know it's meant to be a children's book, but after what Indira ji explained and the way I heard it all, I'm going to pick it up and make my Republic Day end with the read of this amazing book. And of course, congratulations. I know this is the first of many to come for both to you, Poonam, as well as Saurabh. I don't know if you remember me, but we have crossed paths while at IBM. I was there for many years. At that time, I think we did interact. But it's nice to see in a different forum the kind of talent that's out there and how you have all brought your feelings that can be translated into something memorable for kids. And I know writing books is a difficult task, but writing books for kids, I think it's even more difficult. One, the kids have to be captivated and parents need to feel compelled enough to pick the book and read for them. So you guys have done something brave. And I'm pretty sure this is a book many parents would pick for their kids, and the kids will have a lovely time reading it, enjoying it. All the very best, and looking for your next set of books that are yet to come. I'm definitely looking forward to reading them. All the best.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lata, for such kind words. They're very encouraging. And I'm sure our writers are all set for another one.
Absolutely.
Anybody else would like to share something? Please feel free to say it right now. Otherwise, we can say goodbye to each other with this warm and fuzzy feeling.
Yeah, I would like to share something,
Sure.
When Poonam and Saurabh, they were talking, I could so much relate with my own life. My younger daughter, she was 6 years old when she felt very sick and she was confined at home, and she had this voracious appetite for stories. So I used to tell her stories, but then I also ran out of stories. And then I will say, okay, tell me what story do you want to listen to? So she'll look around the room and she'll say, I want the story of Mr. Fan. Then I have to, on the spot, make a story about Mr. Fan, what all he could do and what was his potentials. And it had to be funny because she would like it. And then next day she'll say about Miss Tubelight. So we'll go about Miss Tubelight. So these are the kind of imaginations which you have to instantly, make up and tell them. So I could so much relate when these two were talking. Oh my God, I've been through the same experience. And thank God they put it on paper for other children also to read and appreciate. I'm really happy for them. And I'm sure they'll go a long way. Congratulations, Poonam. Poonam, I know personally. Saurav, I've never met. But I'm sure he's also a very good writer. Poonam, I can vouch for. She's a very good orator also and writer also. So all the best to both of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veeraji. It's been so kind. And I think we all as parents can relate to it. We might forget it as children. When we were children, we might forget the stories which our parents created for us. But now as a parent, we would remember. And I think Poonam did a very fantastic job in writing them, putting them in words. The imagination flew in words now. It was translated into words and very beautifully done. And so did Saurabh, did a fantastic job. Thank you all of you for coming. Is there somebody else who would like to share some other words?
Yeah,
Anybody else?
I just wanted to say that I had read this book and it is an amazing read for kids. I really like I really liked all 5 stories, and congratulations to both the authors, and all the best.
Awesome. What's your name, my dear?
My name is Ayana.
Ayana, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ayana.
Archana, she's my niece. She's
Oh.
Rukhana. Thank you, Ayana.
So nice of you for sharing your thoughts on it. And glad you read it. I know it's above your age, but you read it and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to share some kind words? Anybody else? So can we wrap up the evening tonight?
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for doing this. And I would like that anybody who has not picked up the book, please go to Amazon website and go ahead and pick up this book. I know it might not be for your age group, but you can definitely read this book for anybody and everybody around you. There are a lot of children who are waiting.
To someone.
Absolutely. That's what I was coming for. The best gift any child could receive is a book. It helps them to build up an imagination, an emotional connect, a psychological relief. In pandemic time, books have been our best friends, guide, and everything around. So please go ahead and use these books as your personal favorites. Encourage us to tell and share more stories and make everybody a world a happier place to live in. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.